All right, great to be with everybody today. So this is John Thackston, CEO of SOAR Performance Group. Honored to be here today with friend and customer Ed Calnan. So what we're going to talk about today is Ed and ours experience of working together at SOCi and some of the work that we've done. So Ed, before we kick it off, do you want to share a little bit just in terms of background on you, your role?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ed Calnan. My career is all centered around sales leadership, building and improving companies. I've been doing it for about 30 years now, part of some really good ones and some not so good ones, just like everybody else. And I'm a two-time SOAR customer. We rolled out the program at the prior company I founded called Seismic. We saw such success with using John and the team that probably the third call I made when I started my new role here at SOCi was to you, John, to get your team engaged. And I think it gave you maybe a month and a half to prepare for our sales kickoff. And you, as usual, delivered.
It was fast and furious. So it was
Yeah,
fast and furious, and I always say I'll take fast and exciting over slow and boring.
that's
It
right.
was,
That's
yeah,
right.
and and you are a double winner. So you're a double winner, and have really enjoyed both the opportunities to work with you and the teams.
Yeah, same here. Hopefully there'll be a third one in our future. Just a little bit about what I'm doing at SOCi. So I was asked, Seismic and SOCi share a mutual investor, JMI Equity. And after I took a little break from Seismic, I was asked to join SOCi to help mature and continue to grow the company. So it's an excellent company focused on multi-location businesses, helping them get found and search, do social local marketing, and then answer their customers' reviews. I was asked to come in and help mature some of the operations of the company, mature the go-to-market model, and continue the growth trajectory. So I've been here about a year and a half. Things are mostly fixed on the way, and teams are improving every day.
Excellent. And so, Ed, when we first talked, when you came to Sochi, what were the primary challenges that you were looking to our team to sort of solve?
So when the company is about 9 years old, it's a great story, excellent products, great people, and the history of the company was they introduced a bunch of different products over the years and were really selling product sales. So feature and function versus competitors. And what we tried to do when I joined is to try to think more holistically about selling the platform and selling the value of that platform and what the platform is going to do for the customer's business. So we were migrating from kind of a point sale of products to more of a holistic platform sale to drive business outcomes was the goal.
Yeah, and so and as a part of that, I think there was another piece that I really focused on was how do we increase the rep as a part of that? How do we also up level the rep productivity?
That's right. Yeah, when we joined, like many growth companies during the boom years from 2018 to 2, so she was adding reps, adding teams, driving, really focused on gross productivity, a lot of which they got from certain pockets of reps, but the actual attainment across the board was quite low. So one of our goals was to dig in, focus on the markets that we could win, and double down on those to drive rep attainment. And it's beginning to work.
Yeah, and really, and I think as a part of that too, really a lot of focus on how do we get with the right customers and how do we drive the right value based engagement so that we can win with those customers and win with the platform, which is a big topic and a big undertaking. So, and in terms of the work we did together, how did you work together with Sorta to solve some of those challenges?
Yeah. So when we talked, I kind of gave you the breakdown of what the mission was. I think it fit right within the wheelhouse of what the organization delivers to customers, which was how do we think less about products and features and more about business value and business outcome, what a platform might be able to deliver to the CMO versus selling a product to a director level person. So that was the mission. And then the team was great. Jumped in head first or 2 feet, whichever one you prefer. One of the things I love about the experience of working with the SOAR team is that they get into the business. You all did a bunch of discovery with my leaders, my directors, my reps, got to know kind of the rhythm of the business, the DNA of the people on the team, what's working, what's not, and using all that data built the program. It wasn't just like, here's our thing, go learn that. We're going to deploy it. And here's a signed copy of my book. It was much more of a bespoke kind of feel where it was, all right, before we can make a recommendation, we got to learn what's happening with the company. We got to learn what's happening with the reps. And then let's build that program, deploy it at sales kickoff, and then manage it along the way. So that was my second favorite part of the SOAR experience, was the implementation of the program and the measurement of it with you and your team. You had weekly meetings with my leaders and quarterly check-ins with the leader, with the exec team. And like that hands-on feel is what makes a program successful. It's not a bunch of cue cards and some booklets that the reps take home with them. It's put the program together with customized data, launch the program, and then drive it. That's the difference I felt working with your team versus working with some others I have in the past.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things we're big believers in, right? Is if you're going to do something like upskilling for the team, you've got to really operationalize it. You've got to drive it, or else it's, in my opinion, largely a wasted investment because you're not going to get the outcome you want. And then you mentioned some of the measurement there. So what was some of the way that you all measured the results in terms of our work together?
Yeah. So at the basics, when we started, it was okay, do you have a value plan for every deal? Right. And have you reviewed that with your manager? And does it fit the criteria of the program? Specifically for SOCi, what are we trying to do? How are we trying to sell it? How can we convey to a C-level buyer that if they make a purchase, it's going to improve their business outcomes? So that was a level number one. Level number two was kind of just looking at opportunities, the maturity of the opportunities, the size of the pipeline, size of the average deal, and then rep productivity, really. I mean, we just finished Q1. Q1 last year, we had about 20% attainment. If I look at Q1 in 2025, we went to 80. So
Wow.
not full quota attainment for Q1, but 80% of the team contributed and closed some sort of business versus, you had 1 out of 5 last year. Now we got 4 out of 5 doing deals. And
Yeah,
a
that's a
large part of
huge.
that is the framework that we put together as a team with the SOAR group.
Yeah, that's a huge. I mean, if you think about business outcomes, that's a huge uplift in terms of the rep productivity. Well, the other piece is there's a morale piece to that too as well in terms of your. I mean, everybody likes being on a winning team, right? And if you look around and only 1 out of 5 of your teammates is winning, that doesn't feel very good. When you've got 4 out of 5, that feels a lot better, which then helps to build the momentum.
It totally does. It helps everything. It helps the psyche. It helps the swagger. It helps, I've been telling the team this year, there's during the boom years when everyone was calling you, it was easy to sit back and pick the deals you wanted to work on. And reps naturally only gravitate towards the bigger, cooler ones. Now, when you have to do the calling, like every deal matters. And the framework still, whether it's the way we measure things is number of locations. So if it's a 50 location burrito shop in the Southwest, the framework still works versus Chipotle, right? And it's the exact same value. It's the exact same value drivers, and it can be retrofitted to any size deal. So we've been trying to really encourage reps to don't just sit back and wait for 2 or 3 and hope you make your quota at the end of the year. Use that framework on the medium size and even some smaller ones and get some base runners, get some singles, get some doubles, let's get some triples. That business continuity and swagger and confidence adds up to all of it, right? And you see your colleagues winning and it just feels good week over
Feels
week.
good. It feels better than the alternative. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a great point you bring up, though, which is that, and this is something I talk with our prospects a lot about, is that, look, if you have multi layers of Salesforce, you can take the same, right? If you have meaning you've got multi layers of a Salesforce that are selling to different sizes of organizations, it's a framework that can flex up and down with you depending on your deal complexity, and you can expand. I think of it like an accordion, right? You can expand that accordion if you've got more stakeholders, more complexity in the deal, more value drivers. You can expand it if you've got something that's simpler. You've got the same principles. You just contract it down. And I think that's a great call out.
That's right. And we have 4 layers, and I think a lot of people look at a methodology and think, oh, well, that's only for the big global deals. And it's the exact opposite. We have our global team, we have our enterprise team, we have a commercial team, we have an inside sales team, all selling to the same types of customers, different sizes, but we use the exact same playbook in all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that creates, which is really helpful, is it gives you, one of the things I think all of our customers are trying to do is grow people inside of their organization. And part of what that allows you to do as well is like when you go to a new segment, you're not having to figure out, hey, how does this work differently? You're saying, hey, how do I take this same playbook and add a new special sauce to it as I go to a new segment?
That's exactly right. And that's the sales academy model we're building here, where we see fresh graduates come in as a baseline SDR, get promoted to a senior, move into inside sales. We just had a couple of reps get promoted into the commercial group. And from day one, they're working on the SOAR framework that we put together last year.
And then the final question I'll ask, Ed, is what would your advice be to other folks in your roles, so other presidents, other CROs that are thinking about working with us? What would you say to them?
I'd say have a conversation. You've been doing this a long time and you've been working on the team for a long time, watched your dad before you work in the same industry.
I went to my first SKO in 1993. I'll tell a quick funny story that I'll let you. My mom actually locked the keys in the rental car. So there's a picture of me toddling on stage in 1993 to go get my dad and tell him that we had locked the keys in the rental car at the Datalogic's 1993 SKO. So
That's outstanding. And you were probably young at that point. That's the year I graduated college, by the way. So, if I want to date myself, back in the 90s, which was a wonderful decade. But yeah, I mean, you got a great handle on, I think, the pulse of selling. I mean, you talk to so many different customers at so many different stages, big companies that are trying to continue to mature and evolve, small companies that are just beginning and trying to figure out their first methodology. And I think every time you and I find an hour to catch up, I always learn something. And it's that kind of collective knowledge that you've built from talking to your current customers, future ones, past ones, that there's always something there. And I think also what I found was we talked a little bit about the implementation of the program and the measurement and driving it home with leaders. I had every single leader on my team say the same thing. Like, my check-ins with John are always super helpful. He comes with fresh ideas. I always learn something. I pick something else up. So it's that hands-on approach, I think, that the world lacks a little bit of these days. It feels like you're talking to a bot, everything you do, and you can't get someone on the phone. And like, it's just that white glove service that you don't get quite often in life anymore, I think is a huge differentiator between your firm and others that I've used in the past.
well, we really appreciate the partnership. Are grateful for the opportunity to work together. And like you said, we'll have our fingers crossed that number three will be coming up not too soon, but that we'll get a chance to work on number three here before too long.
I got some more work to do. We're on a great path, but we're not there yet. And I'm sure we'll be speaking in the future.
Well, I'll always love being together with you. And thanks again for taking the time to do this. We've enjoyed the opportunity to partner with you over the years.
Yeah, same here, buddy.